we bring you the unvarnished truth of law enforcement. This broadcast features unfiltered, unedited, and completely raw footage. Join us as we step onto the front lines of justice, providing a transparent view of the critical moments that shape our society.
Out of the car, now.
For what reason, officer?
You're acting suspicious.
I paid the toll and followed orders.
Hands on the hood.
I'm calm. You're escalating.
Backup's coming.
Good. I want witnesses on record.
The toll plaza was almost empty just after midnight, sodium lights casting long yellow shadows across concrete lanes slick with night mist. A single sedan rolled forward, tires humming softly, the driver lowering his window to drop coins into the metal tray. Before the gate could lift, red and blue lights exploded behind him, washing the toll booth in sharp flashes. "Sir, keep your hands on the wheel." The voice came loud, impatient, too aggressive for a routine stop. A rookie officer stepped out of his cruiser, hand resting near his holster, eyes locked on the driver like he had already decided how this would end. "Is there a problem, officer?" the man asked calmly. Hands visible, fingers resting lightly at 10 and 2. "You blew through a toll lane," the officer snapped. "License and registration, now." The man complied without argument. Movements, slow, deliberate. The officer took the documents, glanced at them once, then looked back up with a smirk that did not hide his suspicion. "What are you doing out here this late?" "Driving home from work." "What kind of work?" The question lingered longer than it should have. Wind rattled the plastic dividers between lanes. A truck thundered past in the distance. The officer leaned closer to the window, flashlight cutting across the man's face, then the back seat, then the trunk latch. "Step out of the vehicle." "For what reason?" "Because I said so." The gate arm remained down. Another car slowed in the neighboring lane, its driver watching through the glass. A dash camera light blinked on somewhere unnoticed by the officer. What should have been a 30-second toll stop had turned into a roadside interrogation under harsh lights and raised voices. The man took a slow breath and opened his door. His shoes touched the pavement as he stepped into the light posture, straight expression controlled. In that moment, the rookie officer believed he was in charge, unaware that the next set of headlights approaching the plaza would change everything he thought he knew. The stop at the toll plaza made no sense unless you knew who the man was and where he had come from. To the rookie officer, he was just another late-night driver. To the systems that quietly kept the country running, he was someone whose work never slept. Evan Carter had grown up in a house where curiosity was encouraged and excuses were not. His mother taught physics at a public high school. His father repaired avionics for commercial aircraft. Dinner conversations drifted from equations to engine failures to why precision mattered when lives depended on it. Evan learned early that mistakes in engineering were not theoretical. They were catastrophic. That understanding shaped him. While other kids chased shortcuts, Evan chased accuracy. He built things, slowly tested them twice, and never trusted assumptions. By the time he graduated college, he was already being recruited into programs most people never heard about. He chose aerospace engineering not for prestige, but because it demanded discipline. Long hours, endless simulations. The kind of work where being wrong by a fraction could destroy years of effort. At NASA, Evan became known as the engineer you called when something went wrong at 2 in the morning. He worked on propulsion systems and thermal shielding projects that required patience more than applause. He did not wear logos. He did not talk about work in public. Confidentiality was second nature. The night he was stopped, Evan had just left a facility after an unexpected systems anomaly review. It was the kind of meeting that ran late because it had to. Satellites did not wait for sunrise. Neither did the engineers responsible for them. The rookie officer had a different story. Fresh out of the academy, barely a year on the force, he worked nights because senior officers avoided them. He had been praised for being proactive, assertive, aggressive when necessary. Those words appeared often in his evaluations. He had also been warned. Once, about tone, about escalating too quickly at night. The warning never turned into discipline. It was filed away, forgotten, replaced by the belief that confidence mattered more than restraint. To him, the toll plaza was a stage. Quiet. Dark. Isolated. A place where authority felt absolute. A black man alone at night fit a narrative he had absorbed without realizing it. Suspicion came easily. Control even easier. Back under the sodium lights, these two histories collided. One built on decades of precision and accountability. The other built on a badge earned quickly and tested poorly. Neither man spoke about their pasts. They did not need to. The imbalance was already there. Evan stood calmly because he had learned long ago that panic introduced error. The officer pressed harder because he believed hesitation meant weakness. Each move pushed the encounter closer to a line that should never have been crossed. And somewhere down the highway, another patrol car was already approaching its driver, unaware that he was about to recognize the man standing under the toll lights long before his partner did. The rookie officer did not let the moment breathe. As Evan stepped fully into the light, the officer circled him slowly, boots crunching against loose gravel at the edge of the lane. The flashlight beam lingered on Evan's hands, then his pockets, then his face, again searching for something that was not there. "Why are you so calm?" the officer asked. "Because I've done nothing wrong." That answer seemed to irritate him. Calm at night was treated like defiance. The officer keyed his radio voice loud enough for the toll booth microphone to catch. "I've got a male refusing to explain his presence." "I've explained it," Evan said evenly. "You asked what I do." "I answered." A car in the next lane slowed almost to a stop. The driver leaned forward, watching. Another vehicle pulled up behind headlights, washing the scene in white glare. Somewhere, a dash camera's red indicator blinked steadily. The officer stepped closer. "You nervous about something I might find in that car?" "No." "Are you planning to search it?" "Don't get smart with me." The officer placed his hand fully on his holster, now thumb-hooked, a gesture meant to dominate. Evan noticed it immediately. He shifted his stance slightly, feet-planted hands still visible, making no sudden movements. "Am I being detained?" Evan asked. "You are being investigated." "Investigated for what?" "Suspicious behavior." The word echoed hollow under the lights. A toll worker inside the booth glanced out, eyes wide, unsure whether to intervene or disappear. The radio crackled again as the officer requested backup, his tone sharper than necessary. "Backup is on the way." That changed the atmosphere. The rookie straightened, confidence returning as he imagined support arriving. Evan felt the eyes of the passing drivers on him now. Phones were raised behind windshields. This was no longer private. It was being witnessed. The officer gestured toward the car. "Open the trunk." "I do not consent to any searches," Evan replied. "Then you're making this harder than it needs to be." Wind pushed against the toll barriers, making them rattle softly. Evan looked past the officer down the empty stretch of road and then back again. He knew this pattern. Escalation for its own sake. Pressure until compliance or force. He did not argue. He did not lecture. He waited. In the distance, headlights appeared growing brighter with each second. Another patrol car approached the plaza, slowing as it took in the scene. The rookie officer smiled, slightly certain that backup would confirm his authority. What he did not realize was that the arriving officer had worked day shifts at a very different facility, one with security badges, clearance levels, and faces you did not forget once you learned what they did. As the second cruiser rolled to a stop and its door opened, the crowd of silent witnesses leaned in without moving. The escalation was complete. Whatever happened next would no longer be under the rookie's control. The second cruiser's engine idled low as the rookie officer moved quickly to reassert control. Before the backup officer could even step fully into the light, the rookie raised his voice, sharp and commanding, meant for an audience. "Sir, turn around and place your hands on the hood of the vehicle." Evan did not move. He did not freeze either. He looked directly at the rookie, voice level controlled. "I am complying with lawful orders. I am asking you to state the reason for this command." The rookie's jaw tightened. His patience was gone now. Night shifts had taught him that hesitation looked like weakness and weakness invited challenge. "This is your last warning. Hands on the hood." The toll lights buzzed overhead, casting hard shadows across the pavement. Evan slowly raised his hands, not toward the hood, but higher, palms open, fingers spread, visible to every camera and every driver watching through windshields. "I am not resisting," he said. "I am concerned for my safety." That sentence landed heavier than any argument. The backup officer paused mid-step, one hand still on his door. He took in the scene, the posture, the tone, the imbalance. His eyes moved from Evan's hands to the rookie's grip on his holster. The rookie closed the distance anyway. He grabbed Evan's arm, pulling it toward the hood. The contact was firm, unnecessary. Evan's shoulder hit the metal with a dull sound. The toll gate rattled as a gust of wind pushed through the empty lanes. "Easy," Evan said, breathing steady. "There is no need for force." The rookie ignored him. He patted down Evan's jacket aggressively, faster than protocol required, faster than training justified. The radio on his shoulder crackled dispatch, asking for a status update. He did not answer. Under the harsh yellow light, the moment stretched. Every movement felt magnified. The scrape of fabric, the rookie's boots shifting, the silence of drivers who knew they were watching something that should not be happening. Inside Evan's mind, the calculations were automatic. Badge number, time, location, language used. He had reviewed failure reports far more complex than this, but the principle was the same. Systems failed when pressure met ego. The backup officer finally spoke, his voice calm but firm. That's enough. What's the probable cause? The rookie did not turn around. Suspicious behavior, he said. Refusal to comply. He's complying right now, the backup officer replied, and you haven't articulated anything specific. The injustice had reached its peak. Not because Evan was being searched, but because authority had replaced reason. Because a routine toll stop had turned into a public display of control under lights that left nowhere to hide. Evan stayed still, eyes forward, hands flat against the hood. He trusted the process not because it was fair, but because it was being witnessed. The line had been crossed. Whatever came next would expose it. You can take your hands off your weapon, the backup officer said quietly. The rookie finally looked back at him, confusion flickering across his face. In that instant, Evan understood that the turning point had arrived. The night was about to change direction. The backup officer stepped fully into the light, now his boots stopping a few feet from Evan. He studied him for a brief second, then looked closer. Not at the car, not at the hands on the hood, at the face. Then his posture changed. Sir, he said, voice lower and controlled, may I see your identification? The rookie turned sharply. I already ran him. The backup officer did not look at him. Sir, please. Evan reached slowly for his wallet, narrating each movement the way experience had taught him. He handed over his ID and an access badge clipped behind it, the kind most people never noticed, the kind you only understood if you had seen it before. The backup officer's eyes dropped to the badge, then widened just slightly. He read the name. Once. Twice. His jaw tightened, not with anger, but with recognition. He straightened immediately. Sir, he said, stepping back half a pace, thank you for your patience. The rookie frowned. What is it? The backup officer turned to him, voice firm now. Take your hand off your weapon. The rookie hesitated. I'm in the middle of a stop. No, you're in the middle of a mistake. The backup officer turned back to Evan. Mr. Carter, are you employed at the Langley facility? Evan nodded. Yes, propulsion and thermal systems. The backup officer exhaled slowly. Then, without hesitation, he did something that froze the entire plaza. He brought his hand up and rendered a crisp salute. The sound of his palm against his brow cut through the night air like a snap. Drivers gasped. Someone in a nearby car whispered, "Oh no." The rookie stared, stunned. What are you doing? Showing respect, the backup officer replied, and correcting this situation. He turned back to Evan. Sir, you are not being detained. You are free to go. I apologize for what you've experienced tonight. The rookie's face drained of color. He looked around as if expecting support that never came. You can't just let him go. I can. And I am. The backup officer gestured subtly for Evan to step away from the hood. Evan did slowly, carefully, heart steady, despite the adrenaline still humming beneath his skin. The rookie took a step back, suddenly unsure where to stand. His authority had collapsed in silence, undone not by argument, but by recognition. The truth had surfaced in the most devastating way possible. Not shouted, not announced. A simple salute under yellow lights at an empty toll plaza witnessed by strangers and cameras that never blinked. In that moment, the rookie officer understood something he had never been taught. Power did not always come from the badge on your chest. Sometimes it came from the work you did when no one was watching. And once revealed, it changed everything. The consequences began before the toll gate even lifted. As Evan drove away slowly, the red and blue lights still pulsing behind him, the backup officer stayed behind, his voice low but unyielding as he spoke into his radio. Badge numbers were logged, timestamps recorded. The rookie officer stood rigid, staring at the pavement as if the answers might be written there. Dashcam footage was flagged automatically. The toll plaza cameras captured everything from multiple angles, the commands, the grab, the salute. By the time the cruisers cleared the scene, the incident had already entered the system as a use of force review. The next morning, Evan filed a formal complaint. It was concise, factual, detailed. He included time's exact phrases, Distances, lighting conditions. Engineers documented failures for a living. This was no different. Internal Affairs opened an investigation within 48 hours. The rookie officer was placed on administrative leave pending review. His Bodycam footage was synchronized with dispatch audio and toll booth video. Training records were pulled. Prior warnings resurfaced the ones that had been minimized as growing pains. Public attention followed quickly. A driver who had recorded the salute posted the clip online. It spread fast, not because of outrage alone, but because of contrast. Aggression followed by respect. Ego followed by discipline. Millions watched it without sound and still understood exactly what had happened. The department issued a statement emphasizing professionalism and review. It satisfied no one. Community leaders demanded answers. Reporters requested records. The phrase, "rookie mistake," no longer applied once the footage was seen. The investigation concluded faster than expected. Policy violations were clear. Unlawful escalation. Improper use of force. Failure to articulate probable cause. The rookie officer was terminated. Not reassigned. Not retrained. Fired. The backup officer was commended quietly. Not for the salute, but for de-escalation and adherence to protocol. His report became required reading in night shift briefings. Evan declined interviews. He did not seek attention. He sought correction. A civil claim was filed and later settled, with the department agreeing to mandatory night stop training reforms and independent oversight for probationary officers. Justice did not arrive with handcuffs. It arrived through paperwork video and a system forced to confront its own reflection. Careers changed. Policies tightened. A line was drawn more clearly than before. And it all traced back to one moment at a toll plaza when authority was challenged not by anger, but by competence, and exposed by a simple act of recognition. The final lesson of what happened at that toll plaza does not live in the salute or the firing. It lives in the law, the psychology of power, and the quiet decisions that determine whether a stop ends safely or spirals into harm. Legally, a traffic stop is a temporary detention with strict limits. Officers must articulate reasonable suspicion or probable cause for every escalation. Command searches and use of force are not tools for compliance. They are responses to specific lawful triggers. Nighttime location or demeanor alone do not qualify. When an officer cannot clearly explain why a driver is being detained or searched, the stop has already crossed a constitutional line. What failed here was not training on paper. It was judgment under pressure. The rookie officer treated authority as a performance rather than a responsibility. He confused calm with defiance and questions with resistance. That confusion is common when power is new and accountability feels distant. It becomes dangerous when reinforced by silence or praise instead of correction. There is also a psychological truth worth confronting. Bias often hides behind confidence. People convince themselves they are being proactive when they are actually being reactive. At night, with fewer witnesses, that tendency grows stronger. The presence of cameras and another officer changed the outcome because it interrupted that internal feedback loop. Oversight works when it is real. For drivers, the practical lessons matter. Keep your hands visible. Speak clearly. Ask whether you are being detained. Ask for the reason. You do not need to argue. You need to create a record. Dash cameras matter. Body language matters. Calm narration of your actions matters. These are not concessions. They are protections. For officers, the lesson is equally direct. Authority is not measured by volume or posture. It is measured by restraint. The backup officer did not de-escalate because of status or reputation. He did it because he recognized a violation and acted according to policy. The salute was not about rank. It was about respect for discipline and service done correctly. This story resonates because Evan Carter did everything right and was still put at risk. That is the point. Compliance alone does not prevent injustice when bias is present. Accountability does. Most people will never work at NASA. Most will never be saluted at a toll plaza. But many will be stopped at night by someone with a badge and a choice. What happens in those moments shapes trust, safety, and lives. Justice in this case did not come from confrontation. It came from documentation, witnesses, and systems forced to respond to truth. Quietly, thoroughly, unavoidably. The question that remains is not who deserved respect that night. It is how many similar stops end without cameras, without backup, and without correction. That answer depends on whether these lessons are remembered when the lights come on and no one thinks they are being watched.
Seeking the truth is our ultimate mission. We dig deep to hold power to account, relying entirely on facts and data. Remember, the records never lie. Thank you for tuning in and supporting our work.